Hey, how you doing? Let me get a drink and we'll get started. Alright, let's do it to it. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Let's see how if we're still on streaming. Let's refresh, see. Hmm. Okay, sorry about this, guys. I just wanted to make sure everything was a-okay on all the sites that I was on. But I think we're good. So let's do it to it. Hmm. Interesting, okay. I just gotta get to the right page now. We'll get there. There we go. Frank J. Marshall is white, and he's facing H. and Pillsbury. This was the most exciting of my games with Pillsbury. It was cut and thrust all the way. That's what he says. So he's kind of happy about that. He liked those type of games. I do too. This was a King's Gambit. So A4, A5, BF, F4. He takes, and then knight F3. You gotta be don't you have to play this move. You can't take right back because see the queen wants to come in, and if that takes, they can take there. I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. If you try something like developing this knight here, the queen can actually come in here, and then you have something like this, and now you're in a kind of world of hurt. So you just got it. That's why they play knight f3. If you're ever wondering why, that's the reason. F5 tries to hold on to the pawn. Bishop c4 gets the bishop outside the pawn chain, and so then we can actually then unleash our bishop on the long diagonal once we play d3. Bishop to g6 or g7, avoiding the risky interpleader of Mislow Gambit with knight f5 could actually be played here. This has been played before. G4 has actually been played, and it's a good opening, because you could actually play takes here and then go for knight e5 and then king e8 and then queen takes g, and now you're starting the pretty big gambit attack going boom. It's the Mislow Gambit or something like that. I think I'm saying it wrong, but so bishop g, and he played pawn to h4, pawn to h6, d4. Now he wants to take full control of the center, Marshall. D6, queen d3, trying to get some sort of an attack swinger, maybe over and up. You never know what type of game you're going to get with Marshall. This involves a certain amount of danger, as the advanced pawns will be exposed to attack. On the other hand, the development of black's knight now becomes possible. So here and to here. Oh, he goes back. Okay, that works too. Now he's trying to get his pawn, grab another pawn. Pillsbury's being a little bit greedy. C3, and Marshall says, denied. You're not gonna grab another pawn, my friend. Not gonna happen. H5. Knight to A4 or A3, and then he's going to try to come down here and see if he can't come into here and go for that. Boom. Come here first, there, and there. That's where he wants to actually go first, to C2, B4, D5, and then C7, which then would fork these two pieces here. And this would actually attack this bishop, this queen. So knight to E7. Sure I have this right. Okay, knight E2, knight G6, and then the king pawn goes to G3. Exclam. Taking advantage of the fact that this is actually a pretty bad move. So if he tried to go F3 here, bishop to G5, excuse me, Zwischenzug, move a Zwischenzug. check, only move. King b1, queen b6, queen takes, pawn takes, knight to b4, after which black will lose the pawn at f2 and the pawn at f3. This is losing, so that's why he just decided to take rather than push. Rook f1. Queen takes pawn, he says, was actually a safe and simple, but then the rook would be not as forcible if this was played. See, if you play here, bishop, there's also, he's saying bishop e3 is playable with castle queenside. To boot would actually be good too. There, this is plunged into and it's sure complicated, although they should have eventually turned out to be comfortable. It's not these moves that are played should be comfortable for white, but it actually helps black. So we don't want to help black if we don't have to. Rook f1. Queen takes h4. Bishop takes check. King to d1. Bishop takes knight. Pawn check. Rook b2. Rook b1. Man, this has a lot of firecrackers going on in it. This is like totally exploding everywhere now. He is right. This was a really good game. I'm liking it. I'm loving it. Adding a new piece to the attack would plausibly be it's even stronger than the rook f8 is even stronger than queen to h. Excuse me. If king d2, then you can actually queen, knight takes, and still better for about equal. So that this is more attacking. Okay, bishop to e2 or e3. Then bishop to h6 exclam. You gotta love this move. This move's like stellar of a move. Bishop takes. And what he's saying is potentially knight to G1 might have been better. But then you have to remember that there's bishop f3. I mean rook f3. Exclam. There's also a line. There's another line that potentially could arise here. There's bishop f5. Queen's bishop takes the bishop. Oops, that's the king bishop. Sorry. That's the wrong bishop. This bishop takes. Pawn takes bishop. And then rook to e8, which is an exclam move again. So that's all over but the crime. The other move that is a plausible move for white is actually castle queenside, which is playable as well at this point. And then bishop takes bishop check. And queen takes bishop. Rook takes rook with an advantage for black. So after it's like so, but this move right here handled the whole sitch in one fell swoop. Knight takes. Queen takes rook. Check. King to d1. Queen takes knight. Check. King d2. You got to be careful. Oops. Make sure I got this. You got to be careful right here, because if you get greedy and take, then you're gonna end up getting checkmated. You in theory could take and still be up material and everything. You'd be down a little bit. So you got to be really careful here. And then we can get our other pieces involved. So yeah. Let's see, what did he play? Oops, that's the reason. What game is this? This is... One second, let me get that thing for you. versus H and Pillsbury. Let me get that. Oops. (1903) Venice. There we go. Now that we gotta get back. It's almost done. So, I'm really excited to see this. I had the king in the wrong area. Okay, let's see here. Okay. The bishop intercepts. This fantastic basically attack has left black with a rook and an extra basically exchange ahead with two passed pawns as well, but the material advantage is somewhat Mox Nix, as I like to say. And white's counterplay now set in due to black's lack of development, and his king must most of the goodness is gone, because eventually what's going to happen is he can come back. So not much is going to come to pass to actually help. So queen to e3, rotates bishop, because he's trying to go in for potentially mate. If we tried like something else, I guess you could try this. And you have a pin there. So you got it. That loses on the spot. So he's kind of has to sack the bishop and try to hope that he can hold on. Takes. They're saying that back in 1909, C6 is actually a better defensive situation after this. it holds much better. Queen to G5 check. King B1 or C8. Bishop F5 exclam. Pawn B6 exclam. And now you have to take a look at queen to knight, queen to G8 check, king up here, bishop takes, knight takes, rook to f8, and that was a mistake. It says it was a mistake, but I think that could engine saying it's much more than that. It's actually losing. King to a8. Pawn takes. Rook check. King to knight 3. Queen takes, knight pawn check. And then king to rook 4. And black actually resigned here. Marshall's white, so they said the game could have actually, if pawn to b5 check, king to rook, king to a5, took with check, king up, and very delightful celebration, I believe, to the Masters. This was actually what they saw. The majority of the Master players saw that Grandmasters, and it was a pretty incredible book, pretty incredible move. And he's gonna eventually end up running. Black's gonna run out of checks, and he's gonna get checkmated. That's actually what would eventually happen. How do you check anymore? There is no more checks. Can't go there because of this pawn, and that's going to be a check. So if you can't move your rook back, so if you did move your rook here, you could actually queen takes, and then there's checkmate. Okay, are we ready for our puzzles? I'll set them up and we'll get going. Okay. Okay, let me see. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, and 2. Okay, white to move and mate in 2. White to move and mate in 2. Give you one more minute, I'll tell you when. And then we'll solve it. I'll tell you when. When it hits 8:07 on mine p.m., I'm going to give you one more minute. Give you one more minute, and then I'll okay. When it reaches 8, I'll 8, I'll give you the example. So, you know what? One thing we learned from Marshall is that it's not about material, it's about winning the game. And that's the whole thing. Okay, I'll show it to you right now because it's been like a minute. So if we play queen takes, f3, rook takes, and then d5 is mate. And if king runs, then queen to b7 is checkmate. That was one. Let's do our 6. Actually, we'll do our 12 on the mate 2s today. Let's see, what do we got? Okay. Excuse me. Three, four, 4, 1 and 2. Perfect. Give you a minute to think about it. Okay. The move is not that. Okay. That's mate. If queen takes, then knight e2 double checkmate is playable. Had the queen on the wrong spot. That's always a pain in the drain. Clear the board. Clear that board. Do 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 do. Clear that board. There. And you're more than welcome to join Chess Cruncher on our community. We have a team called Team Chess Cruncher. You're more than welcome to join that. Okay, so that's 4, 2, 2, 1, 4, 1, 3, and 1. Okay. Okay. Rook d4 if king takes. No, oh, that's not mate. Oh yeah, because he's got there. Just make sure I have this set up right. Good. Yep. That's set up right. Thinking about something like, but that doesn't work because he's got there. Can't take here because of the pin. that? When it said that didn't work, huh? Go figure. So that's the mate. Okay, dokie. One, two, three. Two, two, two. And then happy. I'm so happy today. Ooh, nice. Okay, so 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Yep. Let's do it to it. Let's see here. Give you a minute. Think about it. Alright. There. Takes. Knight takes. Checkmate. And that's the only checkmate that can be there. I could try different, but it told it to be a mate and oops. It wouldn't be mate. So there's only one mate. We found it. Two, one, three, three, two, nothing, and then 4. Perfect. Just gotta check what they are, see how we're doing the time. Perfect. Okay. Rook to D1. And there's really nothing that he can do. He could try moving F8, but then mate. He can try and move it here, he can try and move it here, he can try and move it there, here, 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 or here. But this is mate. So I could try all these different moves. These are the moves he can try, but that leads to mate. Okay, this is a shorter setup one. Should be good. 1, 1, 1. Actually 2, 3, and 1. There we go. I'll give you a minute. Let's see how much time's left on that. Yep. Alright, let's do it now. Oh, perfect. Here, pawn takes, queen takes, and there it be. So on to the next one we go. Two, four, 4, 1, 3, and then gotta put a king here, and 4, perfect. I gotta make this bigger, there we go. Yep. Exactly. You got it. Yeah, it is. I enjoy going over his puzzles. Let's see, let's give it a... Alright. I'll give you a chance to answer it. Do you want to give it a shot? Do you want to give it a shot, pawn? King pawn? Yep. If king takes, then rook h1 is mate. You got that one right. And if g takes h6, then queen f7 is mate. Great job. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? And if you like what you see, you can always click follow and join us. Always. You're more than welcome. Okay, so 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 1, 4, 4, and then 3. Okay. I'll give you a minute, which is actually, I'll tell you when it's 30 seconds. Give you 30 seconds now. Okay. Alright, let's do it to it then. Rook check. Pawn takes, and then queen comes in, and it's mate. There we go. And that's it. Alright. Let's do it again. Another one. I'll give you 40 seconds to give it a shot. You got 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Come on. You can solve this. I know you can. I know you could do it. 10 seconds. It's clicking down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's time for us to do it. Pawn check. Knight takes. Checkmate. Oh, good morning. Alrighty. Come on. Work with me. Come on, computer. My computer's not doing it again. There we go. Yay! It's working. Sometimes it's not cooperative. Let's just say. And that's not a lot of the time. It works good majority of the time, but sometimes it's not cooperative. Oh, Chrome? I should probably think about doing that. I think it's my internet though too a little bit, so I don't think it has to do with Chrome or anything. So I could try that to see. I'll have to look into see if it is. Yeah. So it's white to mate in 2. White to mate in 2. This one should be right right there for us to solve. Yep, there you go. Oops. Oh, I forgot to. That's funny. I forgot to actually post it into the thing. Yeah. There we go. Let's do it now. There, there, and there. There we go. Forgot to click the analysis button. That's funny. That's silly of me. Figure if you can't giggle at yourself for funny things you do, then you're way too serious in life. Three, 1, 1, 1, and 2. Perfect. Okay, white to mate 2. Yep, bishop D. And if bishop takes, then knight b3 is mate. If rook takes, then knight c2 is mate. That's right. Great job there. One more, then we start our endgame. Great. Great work there. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. Yep, there we go. Pawns, 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 pawns. Bishop, the rook, king. I think it's right there. Where's the white king? Right here. Okay. So 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2. Perfect. Okay. Just want to make sure I have it's all right. Yep. White to mate 2. This one should be a walk in the, yeah, walk in the park. Yep, there's nothing he can do there. Now let's get into our end game. Nice. We're ready to rock and to roll. This is Jeremy Silman's final example for all end games. All king and pawn end games are confusing. Black to move. Okay, so I gotta put it back in. And then I'm gonna give it to you for a sec once I get this in. Once I get this recorded, I'm gonna give it to you as in you're black. Come on. There we go. You are flat. I'm turning the board so that you can have a better. You're black. Find your job while I'm gone just for a second is to find the exclam move. What move for black, because he's in check now, is the exclam move? So I'll give you that. Try again. And if you can, give it one more shot. What do you think the best move is here? Black has only 2 legal moves, Jeremy, someone says. This is what he says. My opponent has been thrashing me for the whole game, basically attacking him. White had missed at least one instant win. Hold on, let me see. Did I? Hold on, did I do? Yeah, I got that right. Yep. Yep, because E, that's right. Because I just gotta have the board turned so you can see, and then I'll turn it back. Yeah, the whole game. White missed at least one instant win. And the certainty of the variations that could end with perpetual check things was my last line of defense was a perpetual check. That's what Jeremy Silman says. After offering my opponent several chances of basically his moves, which he refused, seemed interested on winning the game. He reached the position in this diagram here. Black has a choice between 2 legal moves, King D7 and King E7. Only one is playable. There's only one that is playable. And the one move is King E7. And that's an exclam. And congratulations if you found that move. Congrats. Because that's a pretty hard one to find. The only good move, and it shows how a selection between similar choices can have an enormous impact on the game's results. When faced with this kind of decision, you can't take it lightly. It's very important to hunker down and try to discern what the differences are of the moves, and how these differences will utterly affect your choices and chances in the game. In the case of this move here, D7, surprisingly, this is a double question mark move. It's the move that actually loses. Would have led to a loss of a king upon endgame after Queen E6 check. Because this is an exclam move by White. Surprisingly, it looks impossible and unplayable, but it actually is winning, because what would happen is after takes, note how the check means that Black's king must deal with the pawn immediately. King takes. Unfortunately, after a king takes, G4 is played when Black would have an inferior variation of the actual game, since Black's kingside pawn majority would be crippled. This is, remember what we talked about in one of our chapters? It's called the deep freeze. How one pawn stops 2. His majority is stopped by one. Silman's majority would be stopped by one pawn. 2 of them, and on the contrary, White's pawn majority is free flowing without any hampering of problem. And what White would want to do is actually play B3 and C3, and then at the right moment go B4. It would take 3 moves, but he would get his break in, and he would end up winning, and black would have to shuffle over, grab the passed pawn, while white just came in and gobbled all these up. And so that was kind of the idea. So black played an interesting, still an interesting move here. He played queen to e6, which is an interesting move, Jeremy Silman said, and it's not that it's a bad move, it's just interesting. And so at the time, I was positive that this would allow me to have a safe position, though much of that view was based on ignorance, he says. I was more worried about queen takes. He was more worried about this move here. And then king d6 and queen to b7. Though I was pretty sure that queen d1 would give me sufficient play, I reasoned that my king was active, white's king was vulnerable, and white's queen was out of play and unable to stop the perpetual check. Whether this was a real draw doesn't matter at the time. The game has been going on for hours, and they both were exhausted. Their brains were both exhausted, and was willing to basically grab and hold on anything that made it happy. That's really what he's saying, is his brain was so tired from all these variations. But your brain really never gets tired. It's just the body gets tired, because the brain actually is a really interesting creation that the Lord made. It doesn't really get tired, it's our body, and that's the whole thing. And we sometimes, our mind says that we're tired, and in reality we're not. We just have I always call it the lazy bone a little bit in our system, and we need to not have the lazy bone and actually do our stuff. So queen takes, f takes, and then f5. Because the reason he didn't take here is he would get in the inferior position again of this, and so he played f5, and this shuts out all of black's, all of white's central play coming up the board. Just give me a second to drink. My throat got dry for a second. Much better. Okay. F5 is actually an exclam move. Made possible by my king moving to... now you get to see the reason that king d6, d7 was a problem, is because now when this takes, the king's in check, and he can play. White gets the tempo. But when king goes to e7, then the check, then takes, and it's not a check with the take. It's not a check. So black gets to use the move, and that's the difference in the position. Before, the king was over here, and the king was forced to take. And then when that happened, the pawn went to g4, and now back here, if the king was here, the king would have had to take, and then g4 could have been played, and that would have basically won the game for white, because it would have demobilized black's queenside majority. So, but black got the move at this point, and so he was able to repel that thrust, and basically black could potentially win here. Made possible because we talked about it. If he takes, then g4, that's what we're talking about. So he has to play f5 right now. and the king's pawn majority is mobile and keeps the enemy king at bay. So b3, this is important to stop Black's plan later on of playing c4. So if Black can get c4 in, Black actually cripples White's queenside majority, because he would have to play here, and then by taking, he would have it would take him a while to get a pass pawn. But b3 stops this move here. And so now we can take, and our king is starting to come towards the center of Black's king. c3, and we're trying to get our majority flowing. That's our next move. I begin to think that I might even have winning chances at this point. A well-known grandmaster happened to stroll by. He glanced at the position for a couple minutes, walked away. Later he confided that he also thought I was on top. 2 minutes isn't enough time for anyone to figure out, but it does show that even world chess players won't find these positions easy. And now I began to think. I thought and thought and thought and became more and more depressed as the minutes ticked by. Finally, I convinced myself that I was lost. White can't create an annoying outside pass pawn on the queen side. True, Black's king is more active than White's, but during the game I didn't see how this was going to save me against best play. He says he says he had luck. I struggled to find some saving setups and finally came up with something. He struggled. I noticed that I didn't say something good. So he said this, that he was afraid of b4 and then an outside passer, and that the king would be close enough to White would be to come over and gobble these up. But he said that he found a certain amount of ideas that could be playable. He never said they were good ideas, though. Remember, that's one thing I have to say about Hikaru Nakamura with his blitz games. He finds sometimes his moves are brilliant when it comes to those, but sometimes they're just okay moves. And that's what Yazzer, Jennifer, and Maurice Ashley said. They said that it's not that his moves are like always exclams. He's always putting the time pressure on his opponent. And he makes them have to prove that this idea isn't good. And usually his opponents are down in time. And so he just keeps hammering his opponents. He keeps, as they like to say, putting the tennis ball back in their court. And they are tired. It's a hot 107 day, and he's just there. He's hitting it right back in their court, and they're like, really, really tired. And then they hit it over, and he hits it back, and they hit it over, and it's back and forth, and eventually they miss the ball, and he gets a point. And that does happen. King to knight, king to e5 was played. At the time I thought this was very important. The idea is to meet king e3. Hold on, I have to get White's move in. He played g3. Okay, the idea is to meet this move, king e3, with f4 check. Unfortunately, it turns out that this check is a losing blunder. However, during the game I finally intended to play it. Embarrassingly but true. Let's see why king e3 and f fails. King f3 here, and king to f5, b4, g, king e2, king e4, a5, B takes A, B takes A, King A5. I really believed I was drawn here, but here, since King D3 is actually a losing move here, King D3 is a blunder. But that it could be because it couldn't be met by C4 check. That's why it is. I was happy to resolve and basically this until I got home and set up the position on the board, and immediately I noticed that C4 exclam wins. If he would have just played rather than the king C4 for if his opponent would have played C4 check, it actually wins on the spot, because king to C6, then king D3, king B7, king E4, because he's going to try to walk around F3, takes, king takes, A6, king E4, king takes, king E5. Do you remember trebuchet? Remember the trebuchet? This is an exclam. This move right here is an exclam, and it's whoever is to move loses. And because it's black who is trying to pass the move, white can actually play D6 here, and king to B4, king D5, black is toast since he's on the wrong end of the trebuchet. Oops, I have to make sure I did this right. Hold on. Sorry, I had it at B3. That was wrong. It's B4, and then D5, and now black's toast. And there's no way to stop. Boom. He's not on. Remember what we talked about? When it comes to this type of setup, the king needs to be here or here. The king actually needs to be there. Black's king needs to be there. But he's on the wrong side of the trebuchet and he loses. He's in Zugzwangp. But now the game was eventually agreed to a draw due to a line I'd worked out here. They played king king D2. Hold on, I need to get a drink again. D5, A3, D6, king D2, king D5, king C2. Not king D3. That's actually a losing blunder here. This is a losing blunder. King D3 for white's a losing blunder. Because C4, and it's all over. because he has to take, and then the king could actually come on to c5 right now, and there's no way to deal with the threat of this becoming a excuse me, the threat of a passed pawn, and he's not going to be able to win this pawn at time white won't be able to, and then this pawn will eventually roll up the board. So that's why d3 was a mistake. Always look for those saving setups. c4 was actually an exclam, so I got to put that in there so I don't forget. King c2. Now king d6. King d3. King d3, hold on, d3, king d5, b4, king c6. He's waiting until he pushes. King c4, c takes d, c takes d, and then b5 check. This is what Jeremy Silman had been waiting for. This idea to throw in a little sneaky check here so that when this is played he can walk in front. A takes, king b6, king d5, oops, not d4, d5, king takes pawn, king e5, f4, she takes, oops, f5, king c5, king f6, king d6, king g, king e7, king takes, and then the king gets there just in the nick of time to cause a draw here. At the time I pressed with I was impressed with myself, as I already pointed out. My thought was turned to self, basically like thinking, oh no, I'm lost. Basically that's what he was thinking. He was thinking that I was lost, and he didn't think he had a chance to win. But he pushed past that, and the Lord has built into us the ability to do that. You let's say you're down a rook for a knight, but you have, let's say, a bishop and a knight, and they have a bishop and a rook. What you have to do is you can either panic and say, oh, I'm lost, I'm down in exchange, or you can say this: I have a bishop and a bishop and a knight, and I can do, what can I do with that? There's a difference between, oh, now you can listen to this, oh, I'm lost, or I have a bishop and a knight, what can I do with that? That's positive. Though, oh, I'm lost is negative, and it affects you from actually finding the best moves. So we don't want that to happen. And it seemed that the incorrect actually turned out okay, says his incorrect move. That I was indeed lost after king e3. In a way, I was lucky to have been, basically his opponent believed him. Who knows what would have happened, who knows what I would have done if I'd seen that was really going on, what was really going on. In the case, ignorance seems bliss, he says. On the other voice, stating to join in on, now on the other voice, started to join in on his king and pawn endgame debacle, as he would say. First it was I am Jack Peter offered up some new ideas from the position in the one that we just went over. He was talking about this right. Where is that? Where's the move? Where is this move here? Trying to figure out. Whoa, that was weird. Huh. Go figure. Some fell. That was strange. Okay, let me see here. Trying to figure out somehow. I'm missing something here. Oh boy. I may have to set this up here. I'm just gonna have to make a whole nother one. Just give me a second. Yeah, hold on. Just let me make up another one because I don't know what the sitch was here, but alright. Alrighty then. Let me see here. Right here. White to move and win. This is actually from the game. It was from Jeremy Silman, but I don't know how to actually get here. I don't understand the setup that he was talking about, so I have to actually create it, and then I'll show you. It's actually on move 10. So this is a whole. This is one. It's like I figure it's better just to create it, and then I have it to work on. He's already pointed out that that A5 would actually be potentially winning. So let's see here. A5 for white is actually winning. B takes. Or maybe did I already have this? Did I already have this one set up? Hold on, let me go back to my. Let's go back to the studies. Hold on. Okay. I might have already put it in there. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, move 5. That's where we have to go all the way back to. Wait a second, did I? Hold on. Okay, good. I just gotta make this my main line. There we go. Promote that to the main line. Okay, perfect. Now I see my problem. What my problem was I had the wrong main line up there. I don't like when that happens. That's a pain in the drain. I'll keep that one so that you can kind of play with it. So I'll keep it as as one. Okay, now that we have sorted through all that mess, let's see what we got here. Ah, there we go. We talked about, here it is. This is the A5 line that we just talked about. A takes B. A takes B. King D. C4. Wins for white, but Jack noticed quite correctly that black can put up a better but utterly hopeless defense with King C6, King D3, King B7, King E4. Instead of F3, you can actually play King to A6, King takes, King takes, King B4, King C3, King takes, and then G4, with 4 possibilities for black to actually play here. There's King D4. Oh, not King D4, sorry. There's King D5. King B3. King D3. And King B4. And we're going to try King D5 first. G5 would be played. King E6. And G6. And white queens with, and white will queen. Okay, so now we're going to check out B3. King B3. G5, C4, G, C3, G7 is vital. This is a don't get greedy and taking's a mistake. I would say I'd even put in here a double question mark. He didn't put it there, but I'm going to put a double question mark because, and this is kind of one line that I'm saying that he can queen, and then you can queen. That allows queening. So, but G7 actually wins, so that when black plays here, you actually queen with check, and then we get to do our idea of potentially sacking the queen for the pawn, getting our king, grabbing that pawn, and then queening it. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go to D3. King D3, G5, C4, G6, C3. Now we take C2, queen, and then queen. King D8, C2, queen C there, King B1, queen takes C1, King takes, and then h7, and white wins and gets a queen. So our last but not least, king b4, g5. Okay, we keep going. g6, go. King e2, king a3, king takes, c2, king d2, king b2, and then he queens with check, and he's just within time. The king's close enough to checkmate. I was too upset by this addition. They basically verified my own conclusion that I found a winning move. They emailed him basically. A strong grandmaster who wishes to remain anonymous claimed that my analysis was completely flawed and that black was better after all. That makes two grandmasters who were off their rockers, he said. That was funny. That was cute. They basically he had one a really strong grandmaster who showed that he still was winning. Then he had a couple friends that he had that showed that he was losing, and so he's like, who do I believe? Do I believe the really strong grandmaster, or do I believe my friends? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I claim that mine. Okay. Though a draw would utterly be correctly the result. Shocked, I glanced at the email, the blindfolded. As the years rolled by, I got. Let's see. He actually did blindfold training. That's what he did, and took. Let's see. Sending the analysis to John Watson. Oh, he said that John Watson told him that, you know what, you have to sometimes do your own analysis, and to don't get down when chess players tell you that you made a mistake or something. Find out what the mistake was. Say thank you very much. I appreciate your your concern and analysis, and I'll take that to heart, and I'll see how I'll see it, and I'll improve next time. That's what you can always say. He says it was very Jeremy Silverman said it was very wise of John Watson to actually give him that advice, and I agree too. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Let's go back. He said we're back at okay, there. He played e5. He took a look at d5 here. The unknown grandmaster considered e5 in the actual game to be a mistake, and as we will eventually see, it turned out that, and really both d5 and e5 would lead to a draw. So he's just going over what the anonymous strong grandmaster told him. So e3, king c6. Black's idea is to actually play b6, b5. I must admit that I've never considered such a plan, because that kind of creates a passed pawn. You got to be on your toes when you do that. King d3. The Grandmaster, the unknown Grandmaster, claimed that Black wins after hold on. Claimed that the Grandmaster, okay, he wins after b4. You're saying that this move right here, d5, king d3, f4, a5, a takes, analyzing is flawed here. C4 is the correct line for Black. So so what you would actually want to do is not take, but play what he says c4, and then the king would have to go to e2, and then g4, so they that after the takes, on move 9, that c4 wins after king d6, and wins easy with b5. King e5, king e2, exclam. Two of his other Grandmaster friends went over it with him. And then g4, and white will potentially infiltrate in to e4 eventually. After the king has to flee over here, he'll eventually come in and gobble this pawn up, and then eventually gobble that one up. And that's what he's kind of talking about. So d3, and then b4 would be, let's see, d3, b5. I later discovered that this is a losing blunder, but Black could still draw with correct several moves. Basically, the 7 with correct, if he plays correctly, Black can draw. Like b5. Let me see here. What did he say? Oh, knight e5 here. Hold on. What? Hold on. Oh, okay. We got to the end of that line. So b5. He claims a draw by a takes b, king takes, e2, king c6, g3, d5, king e3, king e5, king f3, and then king d5. And Watson once again pointed out that white wins easily with a5 on move 8. So he says that it's kind of a flawed setup. So he has a slightly flawed. Okay, I'll say adieu. Bye. And the Lord be with you, okay? And come back tomorrow if you can. It's great to have you. Let's see, 8. He said A5 wins here. Says that that this is actually a double question mark blunder. So A5 is the only way to win. B4. C takes B. C takes B. King D4. King B5. King E5. King takes A. King takes. King B5. Okay, F6. Okay, C5. And then King G7. And it's time for black to hang up his rooks, basically get rid of it. Get rid of the remove the king and tip it over. Yeah, and be like tipping your king's castle over, and then having the game be over. Just tipping the king over, or as I like to say, tipping because the king kind of, in my opinion, kind of looks like a rook. So I think he was joking about that, tipping the rook over. That's funny. So what does this mean? Are international masters better in-game players than grandmasters? Was the grandmaster pulling my leg? Is there any meaning to the to what the grandmaster was saying? He actually said he sat down and thought about it. He was thinking what the grandmaster's questions were, and he kept thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. He gave the position a serious look, but he's like, do I dive into it or do I not dive into it? And then he basically said, we better send at least one, let's give it one more shot. That's basically what Jeremy Silman was saying, is let's give her one more go at this. And so he has one more line that he can go over. King E3 is the line that he was looking at, and then King to D5 is a one line. He's intending to take a look to make sure that his line isn't flawed at all, to see what if the Grandmaster was actually 100% spot on, or if maybe he was maybe he calculated it wrong and didn't take enough time to analyze it. Sometimes, you know what, we make mistakes, and that's what and you know what, you learn from it and then improve. Okay. He also found out that King D5, King 3, King C6, B4, King D5, King D3, King C6, King C4, King takes, and then B5 takes, and then King B, and then we basically we have this line that King D5 takes, King E5, and then F4 exclam, and black draws. This was one of his friends that said that pointed this line out to him. He also showed him. Let me see. A5. A3. And then F4 was a blunder here. So this was a mistake. Let's see here. So we have to where's the D5, D5. Elizabeth 5, D5. Oops, what? Not D5, E5. E5. E3. King D5. King E2. King E4. B4. C takes B. C takes actually, surprisingly, black's taking was an exclam. King D4, A5, he takes, okay, C5, King D3. This gives, this was given by one of his two friends. And then King to B5, D4, takes King E5, F4 as an exclam, and it draws. The game is drawn. This is a very important hit. He found out that we're almost there. Okay, King F5, King B6, takes C6, King F5. King D4, or D7, King G7, King E7, King takes, and then F7. And now the point is that F4 exclam is clear. White doesn't have a tempo move that enables him to regain the opposition. Thus, he would actually lose at this point. 5, and it's equal. It's actually a draw here, surprisingly. So he's saying here, remember that all this is merely meant to be a warning. The fact is, complex king of pawn endgames are a bit of they're kind of hard to actually not. They're good. You can, with proper knowledge, you can navigate through them. And so he says you got to love the ideas and then play and learn using endgames. But they also know that such positions should be avoided if safe and clear lines are in play, basically. So if you have the ability to maybe keep it in the middle game a little longer and win a pawn or two, do it rather than trade into an end game. But if the end game favors you, even though you could potentially win a pawn, but it favors you and you're gonna win, go for it. Okay, we're gonna pick up tomorrow, and our next chapter is gonna be the pleasure of a knight. The pleasure of a knight. What that means is we're gonna get to learn how the knights are very effective in endgames from the Grand Master's perspective, and I can't wait for that. So, okay, do you have any questions? And then I'm gonna say adieu after this, if you don't. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds to see. Okay, take that as a no. I want to thank you for logging on. You have to remember that what Bruce Lee said is that you have to remember that he didn't fear the person who did 10,000 individual kicks. He feared the person who practice one kick 10,000 times. So if you practice one kick 10,000 times, which means go over your end game, boom, you're going to be good. And you know what? Like when we said about the thoughts, you become what you think about. So if you think positive thoughts, your play will be positive, your learning will be positive, and you'll find that your absorption of the information will improve. So boom to that as well. And you have to remember also that, you know what, knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. So you have to take what you know and apply it and be willing to put in the long time to improve. Boom, there you go. And then what you have to remember is that the human potential is infinite. The Lord is great. He's made us so that we can absorb massive amounts of information. We just have to believe it and actually implement it and trust the Lord Jesus and the Holy Spirit will help us. What we have to do is like what Yadisara once said. He said that every long journey begins with one small step. So our step is every day that we study, we're getting better. And you know what? Treasure your victories and learn from your losses. Treasure your victories. If you win, congratulations. If you lose, learn from it. Find out how to improve. And remember that mistakes. You have to learn from your victory. Treasure your victories and learn from your losses. Remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you as a chess player and a person. So when mistakes arise, don't get red in the face. Don't get upset. Remember that it's part of chess, and then refocus down, and you'll win or draw, or at least learn from your game. But most of all, have fun. And always remember to bring your Grandmaster glasses with you, and then you'll see the moves, and you'll also have fun right alongside with that. Let's see here. Oh, don't give up, get up. That's another one. And remember that hard work will defeat talent because talent won't work, and that's a sad thing, but it does happen. I'm trying to think. Did I cover everything? Let me see that, because I was gonna say something. Oh yeah. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right. So remember that. Whatever you think, it'll end up becoming part of you. But remember, you know what? You're a chess cruncher. Chess crunchers, you know what? Put in the long hours. They're not afraid of work, and they hang up their coat. They hang up their hat. They sit down and study when most one a chess cruncher does, and that makes all the difference. And I want to thank you for all participating, coming on, and helping out. And if you like what you see, click play, click follow. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe, and that'd be much appreciated. And I wanted to say that you know what, the Lord is always with you. You just have to remember to receive Him, and keep pushing forward. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Oh yeah, I gotta remember. As Wesley so says to the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening. Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing play and having fun and enjoying and doing all of our end game. This was a little bit longer of an end game day, but guess what? It was fun, and we learned a whole bunch that you have to make sure that your analysis is 110%, because you could believe it's a win, but it's actually a draw or a loss. So go Team Chess Cruncher, hoorah, be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow, and you know what? 2 thumbs up. Keep studying and always chess crunching. Bye bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed.